Rude banking executive turned lift surfer. So I used to work in this big glass tower downtown. Maybe 30 floors. Lots of different companies crammed in there. Mine was on floor 17. Decent view. The building had 4 main elevators for floors 10 through 30, and they were usually pretty busy, especially in the morning, at lunch, and during the 5 p.m. rush. You learn the patterns, you know? Which lift is usually fastest, when to avoid the crowds. Now there was this guy, Mr. Suit, we'll call him. He worked for some high-powered banking or investment firm on floor 28, the kind where everyone wears expensive suits and talks loudly into their phones about millions of dollars. Mr. Suit was the king of these guys. Tall, slicked back hair, always looked like he'd just stepped out of a magazine and smelled faintly of expensive cologne and impatience. And he hated the elevators. Or maybe he just hated everyone else who used them. He never waited his turn. If a lift arrived going down and you were waiting, he'd just walk straight to the front, elbowing past if needed, get in, and press the door close button like his life depended on it, often right in someone's face. Didn't matter if you were carrying boxes, had a coffee cup balanced precariously, or were just, standing there first. He also had this habit. If he was coming out of the building, he'd see the lift doors closing and just stick his expensive briefcase right in to force them open again, making everyone inside wait while he sauntered off. No thank you, no sorry, nothing. Just pure entitlement radiating off him. He'd complain loudly too, huffing and puffing if the lift stopped at more than 2 floors before his precious 28th. Unbelievable, he'd mutter, loud enough for everyone to hear, checking his watch dramatically. Sighing like the weight of the world's inefficient elevators rested solely on his shoulders. Sometimes he'd get a phone call in the packed elevator, talking super loud about synergy and leveraging assets while the rest of us were practically nose to armpit. Most people just ignored him, rolled their eyes, you know how it is. Avoid confrontation, get on with your day. But it grated on me, especially seeing him push past older people or someone clearly struggling. The final straw came one rainy Tuesday morning. The lobby was packed, everyone damp and slightly miserable. One lift finally arrived going up. There was this older lady, probably in her late 60s, one of the cleaners maybe, moving slowly with a slight limp. She was right near the front. The doors opened. Mr. Suit, who had been lurking near the back, suddenly surged forward. He didn't just cut in front, he actually sort of shouldered the old lady aside slightly to get in first. She stumbled a bit. He didn't even look back, just stabbed the button for floor 28 and then jammed the door close button repeatedly. Bing bong. Doors closed. The lady just looked down, embarrassed. My blood boiled. Right? Okay. Game on. Now, I didn't have any special access to the elevator controls or anything fancy like that. I wasn't in maintenance. But I worked slightly odd hours sometimes, coming in early or staying late for system updates. I did low-level IT support. And I knew the building. I knew the elevator patterns. I knew that the call buttons didn't just call the nearest lift, they logged a call for that direction on that floor, and the system tried to optimize. I also knew which stairwells were easy to access near the lift banks on different floors. My plan wasn't complex. It was petty. Beautifully. Simply petty. It started the next day. Mr. Suit usually arrived around 8:45 a.m. I started coming in at 8:30. I'd go up to my floor, drop my stuff, then take the stairs down to floor 16. Around 8:43, I'd peek out. When I saw Mr. Suit strides towards the up elevators on the ground floor, easy to see from the glass lobby, I'd press the down call button on floor 16. Then, I'd quickly duck back into the stairwell. See, if an up elevator was heading towards the ground floor to pick people up, but it registered a down call from floor 16 just before it got there, the system would sometimes prioritize finishing its up run and then servicing the down call before heading back down. Or it might send a different elevator, potentially one that was already heading down, forcing the ground floor up passengers to wait longer. It wasn't guaranteed, but it introduced a little bit of chaos right when Mr. Suit was most impatient. The first few times, I wasn't sure it was working. But then I started noticing him, standing by the lifts, tapping his foot extra hard, glaring at the floor indicator lights. One morning, I timed it perfectly. I was heading down myself via the stairs, quick hop to 15, and pressed the up button just as he was waiting for a down lift around lunchtime. The lift he was clearly expecting stopped at 15. Doors opened. I wasn't there. I'd nipped back down the stairs. Doors closed. Lift continued down. From the lobby, I saw him throw his hands up slightly when the lift arrived empty. Delicious. This became my little hobby. If I had to go to a different floor for a support call, I'd often take the stairs one floor down and leave a phantom up call just before heading back to 17. If I was leaving for lunch and saw him waiting, I might nip up one flight and press down. I learned the peak times. Sometimes I'd ride the lift myself. If he got in on the ground floor, heading up, and I was already in, I'd accidentally press a bunch of lower floor numbers before his 28. Oh, sorry. I'd mumble, butterfingers. Watching his jaw tighten as we stopped at 11, 14, 16, pure gold. He started getting visibly agitated. I overheard him complaining loudly on the phone about the bloody lifts in this building being slower than continental drift. He started trying different banks of elevators, sometimes waiting longer than if he just stayed put. He'd sigh with the force of a hurricane when the lift stopped at any floor other than his. One Thursday afternoon was the masterpiece. He was in the lift, clearly late for something, repeatedly checking his watch. It was just him, me, and a woman from floor 22. The lift was going up. We passed 17, my floor. We passed 22. The light for 28 was lit, but then the lift stopped at 25. Doors opened, nobody there. Ding dong, doors closed. Then it stopped at 26. Ding dong, nobody there. Then 27. Ding dong, empty corridor. Mr. Suit was turning a fascinating shade of crimson. I think I had accidentally brushed against those buttons getting my phone out earlier. What is wrong with this thing? He almost yelled, glaring at the panel as if it had personally insulted his lineage. The doors finally opened on 28. He didn't walk out. He stormed out. I never escalated it beyond that. Just subtle button presses, inconvenient stops, maybe hitting door close a bit too quick myself sometimes if he was approaching. Oops. It wasn't much. But watching Mr. Suit, the master of elevator entitlement, fume and fret and be constantly, mildly inconvenienced by the very system he tried to bully, it was satisfying. He never suspected a thing, just cursed the building management and the elevator company. He didn't become a saint overnight, but I did notice him seeming a lot more stressed around the elevators, less quick to push past, sometimes even waiting his turn. Maybe, just maybe, the phantom lift surfer taught him a tiny lesson in patience. Or maybe he just thought the elevators were haunted. Either way, my commute became a lot more entertaining. TLDR, rude banking exec treated elevators and people like dirt. I used strategic, anonymous button presses over weeks to make his elevator journeys consistently slow and annoying. He hated it. Petty satisfaction achieved.